Hey, it's Friday. I'm early. I'm half an hour early. But I'm hopping on here early to do my live. I'm hoping all my tech is working and excuse me, my sound is okay. Because I'm at home, so I'm not at the office. It was my daughter's third birthday yesterday, and we had a fabulous day. But I was go, 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 go all day long getting things ready, and I've got like a super husky voice today just from all the excitement and the fatigue. And then last night, when my daughter, I think I might have shared, I don't know if I did or not, but when my second daughter was 10 days old and back in March, I got this terrible bout of abdominal pain and I was, sick. And I didn't know what the heck was going on. So I wound up in the hospital getting IV fluids, and it was just like a super fun experience when you're 10 days postpartum. But anyway, nevertheless, they thought maybe it was my gallbladder, but I think I don't have gallstones, but they think maybe it's like gallbladder sludge or something. Anyway, I think I might have had another attack of this overnight last night. So I'm just tuckered out today. So I'm hopping on here a little bit early. Just to do Friday Live at 5 so that you get a chance to get one. And because I'm going to be on vacation for the next 2 weeks, I'm taking a little hiatus. So I didn't want to drop you guys and not do it today. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit spontaneously here about what keeps us seeking external validation. And um, I am totally, totally in this cycle of seeking external validation right now. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about what I mean by that, but I'm guessing this is going to resonate with some people here. For me right now, what I think is triggering this so much for me is the fact that I feel very insecure as a new mom. Like, I just need to know if there's anybody out there who really feels like secure and confident that they know what to do with an infant and with a 3-year-old so that you don't screw them up and you can be patient when they are doing all the behavioral things and you can keep them stimulated and you can keep them from doing dangerous things and keep them from breaking stuff in your house. Because if you do, I need you to call me. I need your help, okay? Because I have no idea how to do this. And the insecurity that comes from that, the way I try to escape that anxiety is by doing things in the world to help other people in places where I feel confident about my skill set. But the problem with this is that it very much has me feeling exhausted and depleted because I still have to do all those other things at the same time. So I had an appointment with my psychiatrist today, and I think because it's taken me like maybe a week and a half to get in with her since I started feeling worse. And I think I was hopeful that she was going to tell me, oh yeah, we need to do a medication change or something like that. But she more or less said, it's up to me to deal with the problematic behaviors that I have. Paula, right? I have a dog too. I don't even think about him anymore. That's a good way to fix your problems that you have with your dogs are to have children, because then all of a sudden your dog problems really don't matter anymore. Um, but I think I was just hoping she was going to tell me, like, you need to change your medication and then you're going to feel better. And instead she was like, well, I can't help you fix the life things that are going on in your life. Like, it's up to you to do that. And I was like, well, shit. Like, shit, what do I do? So, it was hard to hear. And I think I just really wanted a pill to fix it all. And I'm realizing that a big part of this is this like loop that I'm in, always seeking external validation. So much of what I do and where it comes from me wanting to be validated by the external world. And I know why this happens for me, and this might be true for many of you too. I was taught by my mom at an early age that if I wanted praise, if I wanted to feel, loved and good and recognized in the world, that I needed to do good things, right? I needed to get good grades. I needed to help her with my sister. I needed to help her with whatever she needed help with. I, needed to become a doctor. There's been layers and layers and layers of it over the years. And I have just seriously internalized this and made this like rules for myself. And I saw this quote this week and it made me realize that this is so relevant for me in my life. Here's the quote. Relying on external validation to understand your worth is not sustainable. If you depend on people to build you up, you also give them the same power to break you down. This, for me, shows up as overgiving. I had this massive aha moment when I was getting coached recently, and a coach said to me that you have been believing that the amount you give is the way you help people in the world. And he was like, if you can do the same thing quicker, faster, with less effort from you, he's like, you actually get to help more people in the world this way. It was like, it broke my brain. It broke my brain, right? Like, if we think about how much as doctors we spend extra time with people or we do, extra things, thinking that what we're doing is we're providing even more value, but really that's taking us away from other people. What actually effectively happens is we help fewer people than we could if we did it the efficient way. Like breaking my brain. Not to mention the fact that we have way more to give when we don't do all this stuff at our own expense. So I just want to invite you to stop and think about this if this is relevant for you in your life. So many of us have lived our entire lives for external validation, to be seen as good girls by our parents, our teachers, to get the grades we needed to get into medical school, to perform well enough to get accepted into the residency that we wanted, to make sure we stand out and we get hired despite the fact that we are women, we're perceived as less productive, we're perceived as less suited for leadership, we're perceived as less valuable, right? Is this true for you? External validation is a real double-edged sword. It keeps us working harder and harder and harder to earn recognition. So for my burned out physician clients that I coach, this looks like experiencing shame if they're passed over for a promotion, if they make a small mistake. This looks like guilt if they, are doing things at the expense of maybe spending time with their children, spending time with their spouse. It looks like obligation because we've previously done something before for somebody, so we can't stop doing it, right? Or we've been recognized for doing something before. We've been praised for doing something before, so we have to keep on doing it. I'm sure you've probably felt this yourself before. Give me like some hearts or a thumbs up if you've ever felt this before, or if you've ever seen one of your female colleagues go through this. I feel like I've trained, sorry, this is what I hear people saying, not me. I used to feel like this, but I feel like I've trained my patients to depend on me, to expect me to call back on the day they expect me to call. Expect me to, write that prescription on the day they call in. Expect me to give them extra time because I've given them extra time before. What will they think if I change, right? Have you ever found yourself thinking this or feeling this before? Let me know in the comments if you've ever had this happen to you before. It's the catch-22 of external validation. It feels amazing for the brief moment when we're doing a thing because we get that dopamine hit, right? Someone says to us, wow, you're an amazing doctor. Thank you so much for spending that extra time with me. You changed my life. But the thought is that we have to keep on being amazing. We have to keep on being that next level. We have to never let anybody down, right? It keeps us sacrificing our self-care and our well-being so that we can do all the things for all the people all the time, right? Am I right? I think, yeah, Paul also said yes. Okay. Even worse, if someone says something terrible about us, when this is how we define ourselves and our identity, right? Then the rejection is unbearable. And I think that's what the second part of that quote is about, right? It's like, this is how people can tear us down, is that when we place so much of our self-worth, our identity, our value on what other people think of us, then when somebody says something negative, it just tears us to shreds. So what is the solution to this? I'll admit I'm struggling with this right now, in many ways in my life. And, I'm going to share my own experience after I sort of give you the things that I generally approach this with my clients, because I recognize some of my situation is a little bit unique at where I am in my journey. But what I see with my clients, right, is that there's 3 steps in particular that we can take to kind of combat this cycle and get out of it. So the first is just to really know that it's happening to us and to see it, right? To recognize it, to call it out for what it is, because you really do have to know it to see it. The second step is to learn how to separate our feelings, right? Feeling valued, feeling accomplished, feeling recognition. We need to learn to separate that from what's happening in the external world and to start to create some of that from inside. Okay? The fact of the matter is, you always create it from inside. So it's not as hard as you might think. Even when somebody praises you, you have to agree or believe the praise or have some kind of thought about what that other person did for you to feel validated, for you to feel important, for you to feel recognized, for you to feel accomplished. Okay, so it's never happening because of something that somebody else did. It's always coming from our thoughts. But when we aren't used to creating this for ourselves, what happens is that if we don't, we need that stimulus from the external world to be able to think those thoughts. Okay, so that is where this vicious cycle comes in. But here's the thing: if we can learn to validate ourselves in our thoughts, if we can learn to think those same thoughts without the external circumstance, we separate, right? The stimulus just becomes us choosing to believe that we are worthy, that we are good enough, that we accomplish tons of stuff in our day, that we are the amazing human beings that we want to be in the world, right? And we no longer have to be doing things to sacrifice ourselves to earn those words, to earn that praise from other people, so that we can then create those beautiful positive emotions for ourselves. Okay. The third part of this is we need to learn to train our minds to believe new things about ourselves that prevent us from going back into this cycle, which is very much where I am at this point in time, right? So, for me right now, what's the pattern I'm seeing, right? I'm seeing that I'm running around from appointment to appointment because I'm trying to do all sorts of things that I think are good for me and good for other people. Yesterday I spent the whole day trying to plan the perfect 3-year-old's birthday. And by the time the birthday party actually rolled around, I was freaking exhausted. My feet were aching. My back was aching. Like I had been on my feet all day long trying to clean up our house and then decorate and blah, 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 blah. It looks like me spending hours late at night trying to plan the perfect things to do for my coaching program, like spending lots of mental energy on deciding how I'm going to show up in the world, how I'm going to do live appearances like this, how I'm going to, fit in one-on-one appointments with my clients, scheduling calls outside of times I usually work, trying to like fit in breastfeeding and pumping in between all these things and dropping all sorts of balls and sacrificing sleep, right? There's just this pattern. And it's really not being driven by the external world's expectations of me. It's being driven by something internal that I think I keep seeking the recognition from the outside world because I'm uncomfortable with learning how to do this job as a mom. So it's just a different flavor of the same problem, okay? So how am I doing step 2, which is separating my feelings from my external accomplishments? How I'm doing this is I'm working on tuning in to what feels right for me in my body right now and asking questions in this order. Like, what is right for me? What is right for my family? And then what is right for everybody else? And when I can first tune into what's the best for me, I can make the best choices. I could do things like deciding that I need to just do my Friday Live at 5 now rather than waiting for an extra half an hour to do it because I'm, I'm not at the right time and I might be, too I want to take a nap, right? And so if I had waited, I would have like done something for half an hour, but not something that I really wanted to be doing versus just jumping on here and doing it right now. Okay. That's my very long and convoluted way of saying that I'm just listening to what feels right to me today, in this time, in this moment. Okay. And then, I'm going to take the next 2 weeks off to be with my family. It's looking like redefining what I make my priorities because if I put my business above myself, if I put my work as a physician above myself, if I put anything else other than my like principal, most crucial human needs, like for instance, sleep above myself, which I have been doing. I have been sacrificing sleep a ton to try to get things done at night. And when I do that, this is like my undoing for me. This is how I um, become exhausted. My mood starts to tank. It becomes harder and harder and harder for me to create positive emotions for myself. It becomes harder and harder and harder for me to think the kind of thoughts I want to work on believing about myself. So what this looks like, right, is me tuning in to me again. Okay? So really starting to ask myself, like, if I put hard and fast boundaries around 8 hours of sleep every night, how does my life look? How does my life look? How does my life look? How much time do I have to expend doing each one of these things? What can I actually deliver? And it's hard to do that. It is very, very hard to do that, but it's extremely worthwhile, and it is what is required to be able to um, separate myself from all of these external things in the world. Okay, the last one is I committed to doing a 30-day challenge, which was one where I was going to recognize and choose to see myself as accomplished, as valuable, as providing something in the world every single day that had nothing to do with my work, um, so that I can see that choosing to spend time working on being a better version of me, choosing to spend time with my kids and not do other things is still an accomplishment for me. Okay, step 3, retraining my mind. So this is tough for me right now in the haze of this exhaustion, postpartum depression kind of picture, and I do think I'm going to share more with you as the weeks go on and I'm doing this work. But a few things that kind of pop into my mind right now and resonate with me are like practicing saying to myself, everyone deserves a rest. Everyone deserves downtime. Everyone deserves self-love, self-recognition, internal validation. Sometimes when I create this kind of bridge thought where it has to do with everyone else in the world, then I can like include myself in that and not, specifically single myself out, because that's where I might get tripped up a little bit and I might have a hard time if I create this belief like just for me. So I try to create it for everyone. Then I remind myself that actually creating validation for myself, telling myself that I'm doing good enough, that this is awesome what I accomplished today. Taking a nap is awesome. Like the fact that I'm doing this early so that I can lay down in this bed in a few minutes when I get off this call is a really good thing for me, right? And to do that for myself is a self-compassionate practice. And I like thinking about it that way, right? I like thinking about it that I might not get this right all the time, but every time I choose to do it, every time I choose to practice it, it's a way of treating myself with self-compassion. And the last one I came up with was I have more to give when I'm not depleted and stretched and exhausted. And that I know is true. I can't argue with that at all. Like there's no part of my brain that wants to argue with that. I think I just forget it, or I don't pay attention to it sometimes, or I deny it. And so when I call that into my memory and I remind myself of that, it's a lot easier for me to do what's right for me so that I have more to give to everybody that I love and care about in my life. Okay. So what is the result of doing this, right? Why do we even want to do this? It's because it gives us the freedom to do what really truly matters and that we really truly love and enjoy in our lives, and not just spend our lives doing what we think other people want us to do, which is pretty amazing if you ask me. That is a life that I want to live. So I just want to remind you all to never forget that there's nothing you do in the external world that actually makes you more or less worthy. We are born worthy. We know this because we can look at babies and we can see them, and we don't look at them and be like, what did this baby do today to make it worthy in the world, right? Humans are born worthy. So we just need to not forget that we are worthy, period. Hi, Nicole. Okay, everybody, I'm going to sign off now. Sorry again for jumping on early, but it was the right thing for me to do for myself today. Okay, love you all. Enjoy your next 2 weeks, and I will see you with my next Friday Live at 5 in 3 weeks from today. Okay? Mwah.